Hello everybody, this is Chase with ChaseNCredit. In a recent video, we talked about how does marriage affect my credit. And as we talked about, in many ways, many ways. But what I was caught me off guard in a couple of times I've been asked, people say, well, Chase, you're always talking about get out there and be chasing that credit. What is a credit score? And it's all kinds of ways to describe what is a credit score, right? So today I'm going to try to describe it in the most simplistic way that I can. So here we go. So your credit score is the score that lenders use to determine if they can lend to you. That's simple, right? I hope that makes sense, right? A score that they use to determine if they can lend to you. So now let's break that down. So when we look at our credit score, normally we can be in the 500s, we can be in the 600s, we can be in the 700s. Now, what we don't see normally too much when we go into the credit scores is the 800s and the 400s, right? They're normally somewhere in the middle, right? Because 400s, that's like at the bottom of the Richter scale, and 800s exceptionally, right? They call 800s, they call you an exceptional borrower. Get that? An exceptional borrower. Now, 400s, I'm not sure what they call you, but I'm pretty sure it's not an exceptional borrower, right? Let's just go on record to say that. Now, so 500, 600, 700. So let's talk about the 500s. So 500s, pretty much you've done some things that has put you there, right? And trust me when I say I have been in the 500s a few times, right? Let me go on record to say a few times. That is why I have now started a company. That is why I have a team that works for me. That is why I have been in business for a few years. That is why I have worked extensively on my wife's company to help her grow her company. I can give you plenty of reasons now why I am sitting here and before you, why I am capable of talking about what I'm talking about, because I have been through all the seasons. So I've been in the 5s, I have been in the 6s, I have been in the 7s. I am educated. I have been through all of them. But I can tell you, I have not been in the 4s and I have not been in the 8s. I can honestly tell you I have not been in either one of those, but I have experienced the 5s, the 6s, and the 7s many a times, right? So I am educated. I am experienced. So I can tell you right now, in the 5s, I have done many mistakes to be in the 5s. Many mistakes. So to be in the 5s, you have missed payments, you have foreclosures, you have bankruptcies, you have judgments, you have charge-offs. It's a numerous amount of things you can do to be in 5s. You might have no credit. You just started out and be in the 5s. It's a numerous amount of things mixed together to have you in the 5s, right? So let's talk about the 6s. The sixes could be a mixture of some of the things in the fives, but maybe not as much, right? But in the sixes, you could also have some paid off accounts. You could have a lot of good accounts across the board. You might have a car that's paid off. You might have a lot of you might have some no 30-day lates. But you could also have a judgment. You could have some bad stuff. So it could be a mixture of both. So it's kind of like a mixture, because you could be in the six. You could have a 615, right? Or you could have a 680. So it's kind of like in a mixture. And then there's the sevens, right? So in the sevens, a lot of times in the sevens, which could be 715, 720 to 780. I mean, a lot of times in that, you probably have no 30-day lates, you have no judgments, you have no charge-offs, no bankruptcies. I mean, you have no. You have no no's, right? I mean, you are clean as a whistle. I mean, you have no negatives on your credit report. You have done everything and beyond to look like an exceptional borrower. You just ain't got to the 800 yet, but you're working there. You're going towards that, right? So those are the three credit scores. So if you look at those, right, the 500s, the 600s, the 700s. So what the vendors or the creditors are looking at is when you apply for a loan, they're saying, okay, this person is either in the 500s, the 600s, and the 700s, and they want to borrow money either for a car, a house, or they want to be extended credit on a credit card. Should I give this to them? Should I extend it to them? And what they're looking at in the 500, 600, 700s, what have they done in the past, right? How have they acted in the past, right? It's like when you was a little kid and you asked to go outside, right? And your parents is making a quick judgment in their head, like, mommy, can I go outside? And your mommy is like, how have you acted, in the past? And she's like, not so good. Or they're like, well, they've been okay. Or they'd be like, oh, Johnny's been like exceptionally, he's been following everything I did. He's been good. He put all his toys away, so that's how they looking, right? So the 700s, they're like, Johnny, you can go out, you can play all day. I might let you play in the streets for like a minute or two. Not really. But 500, Johnny, you've been hard-headed all day. You've been on my last nerve. Get that? Right? So the same thing with a creditor. Creditor is looking at that 500 and they're like, you ain't paid me back. You ain't did nothing that I asked you to do. Every time you ask to borrow money, you ignore the paying me back. Matter of fact, you still owe me money and you steady asking for more money, right? That's in the 500s. So they're saying, hell no, I'm not extending you no credit. In the 600s, they're in the mid 600s, they're like, maybe you're asking for 5,000. How about I give you, 250, 2,500, right? But in the sevens, you're asking for 5,000. You got it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give you 7,000. Right? So that's I'm making a little simplistic. I told you at the early part of the video, I'm making it a little simplistic, right? But I just want to give you an idea, right? A creditor, they're trying to make a as quick as they possibly can, in their system, because you're doing it on the computer or whatever. But you think about that. Right? How are they making a determination based on your credit score? And it really is coming from your past performance, right? Because they're pulling their score. 500, 600, 700s quickly. So they're looking at the 700s, you've been on it. They're looking at 500s, you've been ignoring them. You've been kicking sand up in their face. You've been like, whatever, give me some money, I ain't gonna pay you. Give me some more money, I ain't gonna pay that back either. I understand you maybe had some mistakes and some problems, but whatever. I mean, so I'm making it oversimplistic, but what I'm saying is they're going by a score, and that score is showing up every time that they're pulling your credit, and they're seeing it over and over, right? They're seeing it. And they might not even care what happens when you're down in the fives and you're having those problems. Maybe they don't care. I don't know. I'm not them. All I'm saying is they're looking at the fives, they're looking at the sixes, they're looking at the sevens. So you got to think about, if you was in their shoes, who would you loan money to the quickest? So I know we get in our feelings and, like, man, I really need, my car broke down, I really need to trade this car in, I need a new car, right? But if you had a friend who always comes and borrows money and don't pay it back, and I'm speaking to myself too, because I've been in this situation. I've been in fives probably more times than I've been in the sevens. I'm in the sevens now, but I know what it's like. I'm real familiar with the fives. So what I'm saying is, if I'm that friend that always likes to come and borrow money and not pay it back, and I'm coming around these people who know that, at some point they're not too anxious to loan me money, because I got a track record of not paying it back, right? But if I'm in the sevens and I got a good track record of paying money back, it shows it proves it. I mean, they like, he's a good bet. Matter of fact, he pays it back with interest. He's grateful for borrowing money and he pays it back. Now in the sixes, he's kind of iffy, but he's a better chance than the person in the fives. So, I just had to use that example because I'm just, human. I don't know what kind of model they use, but I'm pretty sure it's something like that. So, just think about that. But that's a score. That's a scoring system. And you got to think about that, right? Because the 700s, even when you see a car commercial, right? The Infinities, the Mercedes, the BMWs, what do they say? The nicely approved. So when they show that lease and they say $3,000 down and $520 a month, that for the nicely approved, that means the people that can come in there with 700 some credit score, 720, and sign their name and drive out with the $3,000 down and the $520 a month. Not the person with the 500, right? They're not getting that deal. So because that's not the nicely approved. So I just wanted to make this video about what is a credit score. That's a credit score. How the creditors use a score to determine how they're going to loan, or if they're going to loan to you. That's a credit score. Cut and dry. So this was Chase with ChaseNCredit. So think about that when you're out there chasing credit. What's your strategy, right? What's your credit score? And what's the chances of creditors loaning to you based on your credit score? So are you chasing a myth because your score is, or are you in the game because your score is? Think about that, right? Be out there chasing credit. Talk to y'all soon. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe, right? Leave some feedback.